Hi, I'm Sarah. Welcome to the Daily English Show. Today I'm going to try an Australian accent. There's an Australian YouTuber called Leslie56 and I came across her videos one day when I was clicking around YouTube, and she seems like a really cool person and I really like her videos. Some of them are funny and some of them are fascinating. She tells some stories about her life, for example, My Life Part 1 and Depression and Anger. I'm going to try and copy her accent with the video New Year's Resolutions. I think this is a good one to study, to talk about your plans and goals. Her resolutions were stopping smoking, eating healthily, exercising and losing weight. I think a lot of people have those kind of goals, so we can all relate to it. It's kind of hard to try an Australian accent because it's not that different than my New Zealand accent. I've talked about the differences between the accents a couple of times before in shows 128 and 132. The accents sound very similar and often people outside of New Zealand or Australia can't tell them apart. But one of the differences is the I sound. For example, the sentence, "this is big." The New Zealand accent, the I sound is kind of like but Australian is kind of like E. This is big, big. This is big, this is big. Sorry, I know that's not like a perfect Australian accent, but maybe something like that.
Hi, this is Les56.
Okay, this is Les56.
Today I wanted to talk about New Year's resolutions.
Today I wanted to talk about New Year's resolutions.
Now, I never make New Year's resolutions because I haven't got a hope in hell of keeping them.
Now, I never make New Year's resolutions because I haven't got a hope in hell of keeping them.
If you knew
myself and my daughter, we like nothing more than sit around, a glass of wine, cigarettes. So
she's doing it
really tough.
And I know I'm going to as well, but nonetheless, I am going to give up smoking as of the 31st of December at midnight.
Kia ora, this is Stick News. Yesterday in America, New York City symbolically banned the use of a word which is considered by many Americans to be the most offensive word in the English language.
People in the United States of America come from many different ethnic backgrounds. 12.12% are African American. The ancestors of most African Americans were brought to North America as slaves between 1619 and 1807. In 1865, slavery was outlawed, but white supremacists didn't want African Americans to be equal. A white supremacist organization called the Ku Klux Klan began in 1867. The Ku Klux Klan used acts of terrorism such as lynching to oppress African Americans and other groups. Lynching originally meant any extra-judicial punishment, but during the 19th century it began to be used to mean execution, especially by hanging. Thousands of African Americans were lynched. They were murdered by hanging or were burnt alive, shot and beaten to death. In the 1890s, many Jim Crow laws were made to support racial segregation. The term Jim Crow comes from a song, but came to mean racial segregation. The first Jim Crow law was segregating railroad cars in New Orleans. One law in Florida said, all marriages between a white person and a Negro, or between a white person and a person of Negro descent to the 4th generation inclusive, are hereby forever prohibited. White Americans used to call African Americans niggers. This originates from a Latin word meaning black. Originally it was used with no intended negative connotation, but by the 1800s it was considered derogatory. According to Wikipedia, this is related to the fact that at that time, many white people regarded them as inferior, lazy, stupid, and criminally inclined. African Americans were also called Negroes and coloured, but both of these terms are also now considered derogatory. Because of the word's association with a history of hate, slavery and segregation, in America nigger is now considered to be the most offensive word in the English language. In recent years, it has become common for American broadcasters to use the euphemism the N-word instead of repeating the actual word as a way to avoid offense. Some people continue to use the N-word to express hate towards African Americans. However, others use it as a term of endearment. It can often be heard in American rap music. Now the N-word is banned in New York. According to Reuters, the New York City Council unanimously declared a moratorium that carries no penalty but aims to stop youth from casually using the word.
And that was Stick News for Thursday, the 1st of March. Kia ora. Are there any racial slurs used in New Zealand? Isn't racism a problem in New Zealand? In what ways? Oh, right, so it's hard to prove. Has that ever happened to you? But they never tell you the real reason. Not that I know of. There might be some, but it's not widespread. No, it's definitely a serious problem, but it's just expressed in different ways. I think it's usually more subtle. Where do I start? For example, if you ring up for a job and you don't have a New Zealand accent, then they might tell you that all the jobs have gone. Exactly. Or you might go to walk into a club and they tell you that it's members only or you're too casual. Yeah, I suspect it has a couple of times, but I mean you never know because it could have been just because they didn't like my clothes or hairstyle. Yeah, a friend of mine who's a bouncer once told me that his boss used to suddenly come up to him and say, "Don't let any more Asians in," which is terrible. And yeah, he just ended up leaving.
How many people live in Australia? About 20 million. What's the capital city? Canberra. What's the biggest city? Sydney. Who's the Prime Minister? John Howard. In 1770, who named a part of Australia New South Wales? James Cook.
And that was the Daily English Show. See you tomorrow.